luck next year.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Better Luck Next Year, your favorite sports potpourri podcast, ranked number one sports potpourri podcast to ever mention the Seattle Storm. With me, as always, is Alan Hot Dish Just.
Why, hello, Tater Tot Hot Dish.
Yes, indeed, and Max, Bottle Service Mannix.
Really been looking forward to episode 7. Let's get going.
All right, folks, we are at the All-Star break. Your hometown Seattle Mariners have 4 All-Stars for the first time in 2003?
2003, yeah.
2003. This team...
Did we have 4 in 2003, or were there 6 or something?
We had 6 or 7 in 2001.
I bet it was just 4 in 2003.
Yeah, definitely.
So, they're playing well over 500 for the first time at the All-Star break since forever. I think maybe even 2002, 2001 in that region. So, since we're the hometown folks, we'll just get right into it. Do you think this team is for real?
How about those M's? Yeah, I mean, they're definitely right where they want to be at the All-Star break. 2.5 games in the wild card lead. Going to be tough to catch the Angels or the A's. So I'd say we're shooting for that second wild card spot. They do have the toughest schedule of any American League team remaining, and they got to make some moves. But if they make a couple moves, they could be playing good baseball in September and make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not us? And at this point in the year...
The 10s are coming out.
You could say, why not now? So, I mean, who knows? I mean, there's a lot of baseball. Don't they say you can start talking wild card in the end of July, August? Or is now a reasonable enough
for normal
time?
teams, but you talk wild card for the M's in June 1st.
Yeah. Well, all I can say is I like the way that this team is. They're playing loosey goosey.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to have a little fun. They're doing the arm or the chest butting thing when they get doubles. They're doing they're dancing pregame.
Yes, absolutely.
I just like the way they're playing.
You got to give Lloyd credit. That's what he said when he came in here. He said, we're not going to be afraid of anybody. We don't have the most talented guys, but we're going to play fun. We're going to play confident. And we'll take on whoever. And they've done that so far.
You can tell they're not afraid of Lloyd either. It's a totally different mentality this year than it has been in years past.
The Wedge definitely seemed like the dictator in terms of the players' coach that Lloyd seems to be.
Wedge's eyes were like a James Bond, like laser glasses or something like that. It seems like they could cut through something. The way he stared at you and freaked me out.
Cut through the bullpen.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So here's some things to kind of support this team being for real. We have the second best earned run average, and just in terms of our full team, we're tied for first in fewest runs allowed, and as a team, we allow the lowest batting average against our opponents are hitting .226 against us, but on the same side,
Here it comes.
Our offense, we are 27th in on-base percentage out of 30 teams. We're 25th in hits, and we are 24th in team average.
Wow.
So, man, can we pitch, and man, can we not hit.
When you look back at spring training, a week, maybe 2 before the season started, you had Taijuan Walker, James Paxton, and Randy Wolf pegged as your 3, 4, 5. And none of those guys have pitched more than 2 starts.
But that being said, our pitching isn't the bad part about our team.
I'm just saying, who would have saw that coming? No, they've been fantastic.
We can't hit. As you can, Robinson Cano and his over 300 is fantastic, but you can't hit. Can't hit to save our lives, and that's got to change. Hopefully, in Z we trust comes back again and makes a move for us here.
Yeah.
On that same hand, what right now? We'll just go around the room. If you had to give a percentage right now, day after the All-Star game, percentage chance that you think we make the playoffs, and I'll give you a couple stats first. Right now, Baseball Prospectus, probably the most reputable, baseball site, has us at a 45.9% chance of making the playoffs. Alan, what's your percent right now? Your gut.
That was 49%.
45.9.
45%. Mark, you hear that? That's the flip of a coin. It's a 50-50 shot right now.
50-50. Maxwell, what do you
I'm
think?
going to go a little below that. I go 40% if they keep this current team, this current lineup. If they make a trade, I'm going to go above 50%. Got a lot of guys you can trade to. We'll get into that for a second. Mark, what's your percentage?
I'm going to go, you kind of copied me there. I'm going to go, so since you said 40, I'll say 41. I'm not super confident because the team can't hit. And I don't know. I don't know if Chris Young can stay doing what he's doing.
Yeah. You get Paxton back, though.
We do get Paxton back, and Elias has kind of been roughed up.
I don't know if he's going to last through the season.
So that's an interesting thing. And just on a side here, Baseball Prospectus has us at a 2.4% chance of winning the World Series, and our odds right now in Vegas are 25-1.
They started the season at 160-1.
We are climbing it up, folks.
Yeah, that's not that bad.
We get to host a Game 7 with AO winning the wild card.
That's true.
More importantly, Games 1 and 2.
So
yeah, that's a good point.
That is key. Now, and actually, as they said at the All-Star game yesterday, the last 5 World Series, the team with home field advantage has won. So it's a big deal.
The most interesting part about the Mariners is they really are built for the playoffs. They're not a regular season team. If they can just hold on there, get any spot, even with that playing game, you obviously have Felix throwing against the A's or the Angels.
Yep.
You win that, you got Kuma, Felix coming back. They're built with pitching. They're built for the playoffs.
When we get to the playoffs, do we go Felix, Kuma, number 3, Felix?
You'd have to play that play-in game unless they win the division.
Ooh, that would throw off everything.
Well, if we
That's
make
where
it,
the advantage is.
if we make it, we'll have a
division.
We'll have a 1-game play-in, and that's going to be basically not right like maybe the day after the season ends. So hopefully, if we see that we're going to be there, we'll switch our rotation around so Felix can have that start.
That's Billy Bean's nightmare.
He won't have to worry about us.
You think they win the division for sure?
Absolutely. Now, speaking of Billy Bean and in Z we trust, if you guys were given the team as it is, I think we all agree offensively isn't going to win us a World Series and might barely get us to the playoffs. If you're general manager for one day, what do you do?
Well, I think we're a couple days away, maybe even tomorrow, a week away from a trade. It's going to happen. Z's feeling the heat. He's on the hot seat. I think we trade Ackley. We trade a guy from the bullpen. Taijuan Walker's definitely not untouchable. I say we either go for Alan Craig of the St. Louis Cardinals. He's under contract through 2018. He's batted .300 the last 3 years. He's got some power. Fill that first base spot finally. Justin Smoke's in his contract year. Don't have to worry about him coming back. You could trade Smoke, or you could go for the likes of Rios, Willingham, or Viciedo.
And, I think you either do a light move, maybe a Nick Franklin and some Class A pitcher for a Marlon Byrd. That's kind of a hot rumor out there right now.
Would they make that trade, though?
They'd make it. I mean, why not? Take a chance on a guy who was in the AAA All-Star game again. Nick Franklin, we don't think that much of him because he struggled up here. That doesn't mean the other teams around there don't think that highly of him. Or I say that, or you do kind of a big splash. Right now, I'm not married to Taijuan Walker. I think there's one guy who I don't trade. Obviously, one prospect I'll say that you don't trade, and that's DJ Peterson, because he's clearly going to be the first baseman for a while. He can actually hit. So I think you don't really worry about him. You don't trade him. So I think if you don't do that, you kind of do an all-in move and maybe trade.
Why not?
Trade Franklin, Ackley, Smoke, Walker, whatever it takes, and get a guy like what you said, or even go crazy and see if we can't get Starlin Castro away from the Cubs.
I think that everybody's looking for a bat, which is clearly what we need. But I heard Lloyd say in an interview just the other day that great hitting follows great pitching. If we got one more ace on that mound, well, he'd have to be a number 2. But if we had one more guy on that mound, this offense will fall on the line. 3 runs a game is going to win it. If you're 3 runs a game, 2 runs a game is going to win it more often than not. If you've got Felix, Kuma, and David Price up on your mound, 3 days in a row. So I think that we could probably make that happen. Taijuan Walker. and a couple other pieces, probably somebody that I don't know, as well as a bat, I suppose.
And he's also a lefty to counter Felix and Kuma.
Exactly. So
he could pitch your game one in the playoffs. He's through next year's contracts. You'd only have him for 1 year, and he's also said he won't re-sign with Seattle.
But that I will say this: that was pre-Cano signing here.
True.
But you said he's got the rest of this year and one more, right?
Correct.
Right. So we'd have him for the next year and a half, which isn't a bad future for the next 18 months.
It would be awesome. It's one of those things where it's like I'd be so excited if it happened, but I'd still want another bat because as a team we're hitting like 230 or something. So as great as those 3 starts would be, we still could potentially lose. Like if we go to the bullpen, well, our bullpen's been great, but still we can't score.
No, everybody said in the last few years the Mariners are close, but watching that All-Star game when you see the starting pitcher and the 3-hitter that are both on your team, like people will come play for Seattle now.
Yeah, that's a good point. A couple more All-Stars to boot.
Yeah.
Das Boot. Well, I think that's kind of where we're sitting right now. Hopefully this team keeps on motoring along. We're going to go to what seems to be everyone's favorite spot right now in hashtag Conversation for the Nation.
Hashtag Conversation for the Nation.
I can see our Twitter handle just lighting up right now. A lot of questions coming in. We are going to do our best to get to the best of them. I know Max is sitting here manning our Twitter, and we're going to really do our best to get to them. So Max, go ahead. You're on now.
I just feel so bad. There's so many tweets coming. I don't know which one to choose from.
Sometimes you just have to throw a dart.
Anytime I hit refresh, it's 400 new ones. Okay, I'll just boom. It's like spinning the globe where you want to go on vacation.
Exactly.
First question from Danny Amendolia.
All right.
If Major League Baseball was celebrity deathmatch, who wins? So I think what he's trying to say is, if it was man versus man, who would be the last player in the Major League standing?
What a question. Sometimes when it comes down to feats of strength and just pure man versus man, I go with the bulkiest, the huskiest guy that I can think of right away. I'd like to think Prince Fielder, but he's just a little too nice.
He's got a neck injury.
Oh, he's got a neck injury? Well, that's a weakness that would send him out right away. Who's the next biggest, beefiest home run hitter that comes to mind when I say those types of words? Because
Miguel Cabrera?
Cabrera, I suppose.
He seems too nice to win a death match.
Adam Dunn. Now there you go.
Yeah.
There's
the donkey.
There's a chaw spitting, fiddle playing, big old hick, country listening.
Hamilton Porter.
So he can swing a bat and he can knock some people out.
I'm gonna go with kind of a if you're in a death match, you're fighting someone to the death. So I'm gonna go actually with Clayton Kershaw as a guy who's gonna stand back and he's gonna throw stuff at you. He's gonna throw the ninja stars. He'll throw knives at you, coming in really hot, kill you from a distance. He doesn't
What would
have to be too
Kershaw's
fast.
finishing move be?
His finisher?
Yeah.
I think he'd throw something at you and then he'd do the get over here Mortal Kombat and give you a super hard left-handed uppercut. Max, who you got?
I'm going to go with a guy who's making a comeback. He's in the minor league, so he's going to be up by the end of the season. He's a cousin of a colleague of ours. I'm not going to name him, but I'm going to go with Carlos De Silva.
Oh,
Carlos De
Silva. An old twin, an old Mariner. Punched Ichiro.
Very angry guy. So
big old buffalo.
That's true. Or you could do Beltray after someone touches his head.
Ooh, why didn't you pick my question? Okay, we'll pick your question. This one comes from Benjamin. With the departure of Chief Joe next week,
Tough
we
loss.
obviously need Austin Army back on the team for his 4th tour.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Between Alan and Mark, who is the better salesman that can get our boy Abe Burton back? And what would your sales pitch be?
Well, I have to start off if I may.
Absolutely, please do.
There's only been one person in this room who has led the leaderboard practically annually. And for that reason, I can definitely get Austin Burton back better than anyone else.
The most recent March Madness winner.
You know what I lack in in year-round consistency, I hit those high points. I really peak when it counts. And that's why I'd be the only person that could rip Captain Austin, away from the Army.
Mark.
He makes a great point, and as the inaugural March Madness winner and only winner of the year-long sales contest, I would have to agree with him on that he might be the best. But listen, Austin, right now, I'm just going to come at you plain and simple. If you're listening right now, your country needs you. All right? Your country and your team need you. We have a vacant spot, and we have questions that are not going to be answered. We need people who need at least 11 ADA seats right now, kid. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the parking that's not going to be fulfilled? We need you.
There are emails flooding into fan care, just being unanswered. And the one thing I have to say, just to put the icing on the cake, we demand no push-ups.
We demand no push-ups.
Freedom isn't free, Austin.
Next question.
Thanks, Ben.
Alan, I appreciate you answering first, but this one's for Mark, and this comes from Abby. Mark, if you had to battle Ricky O'Callahan, spelling, question mark?
Oh, Ricky!
For a commercial spot, who would your character be and why? Please, Mark, give us a bit of what your character might sound like.
That is
Great question.
That is a great
Question,
question. I'm going to try not to keep it very long. I think cannot compete with a Ricky O'Callahan just as a star. And folks, I know there's fans out there. Possibly look for some new commercials coming to a radio station near you. If I had to do one, I might pick like a really old Mariners fan who's been around and just isn't quite sure.
Ichi meter lady?
Not her, because she's always sure of the team.
I've seen it all.
Yeah, kind of one of those.
I've seen the All-Stars, the no-hitters, the perfect games.
Exactly.
I've seen it all. I've seen the Game 7s. I've seen the World Series
Oh, this
And
one's...
that's where it goes. So might it be a little more like hey, you're skeptical Sam. I see these boys are playing well, but I was around in '95. Guess where they made it? Nowhere. I was around in 2001, won 116 games. Still no World Series. You know what? I'll believe it when I see it.
Get your tickets now at Mariners.com.
Whoa, what a battle here. It is getting hot in here, which takes us to our next question. What are the best ways to beat the heat on these sweltering Seattle summer days? Great question. Showtime one day.
Showtime one bag with the alliteration.
Coming in hot.
Beat
in
the
summer
heat in the Seattle sweltering summers.
Beat the Heat, beat the Cavs.
Ooh.
That one's from the Wolf of Royal Braun,
Oh,
Kevin Stahl.
the Wolf coming back.
I recommend Showtime. I recommend a cool towel over the forehead.
Ooh, cool towel over the forehead. Do you put that in the freezer before, or just run it under nice cold water?
Just run it under some nice cool water.
You can't learn that in a hockey rink.
Nope. That's something that I hope you folks, we might even, you kind of replay this back and write this down. A cool rag on the forehead. What I like to do is not only does it keep me cool, it also teaches a lesson. I like to drive around random neighborhoods and find lemonade stands. And I go up to these little girls who have lemonade, and I say, you know what? I'll have some of that lemonade, but how much you charging me? Then I like to barter with them, teach them a little bit about supply and demand, ask how much they've sold, am I their first customer, second customer, tell them, hey, awful lot of lemonade there. I'll buy 2 cups for what you're trying to offer me for 1. Not only do I walk away refreshed with ice cold lemonade, they learn a thing or two about the business world.
Boy, what great lessons you're teaching America's youth, Mark.
The classic old lemonade stand business cycle.
Yeah.
The final question.
I like to move them through. I like to move them through the pipeline, do a lot of B2B stuff.
Once you're done with that entire transaction, how hot does it get in those prison cells?
Honestly, It's kind of a look but don't touch thing for me.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Bravo.
Alright.
HBO. Our final question. This one comes from Pistol.
Pistol!
Hold us.
L.A. Marv hasn't used his free sweet night. And he doesn't want to. Okay, Marv. He absolutely needs to donate this suite to the CSS team before end of the year school pizza party and graduation party and the party where the other team comes in and we're still there. What could possibly be holding Kevin back in terms of using his free suite? Debates welcomed.
Honestly, I think he would have used it had they not called themselves the CSS team and realized they're just comm center. I don't mean that. You guys do great. Inside sales team, best class we've ever had. Those who are listening.
I cannot defend Mr. Marv, Robert Marv, in any way, shape, or form for him not using his suite to simply welcome up everyone for a big party in the suite.
It's pretty selfish, honestly.
Pete, the Pistol, I agree with you 100% that Marv should absolutely throw a big-ass party for the CSS squad.
And honestly,
Ooh, can we start calling him the CSS squad?
since he's done so well with his Hollywood movies, I think maybe he should buy the first round of beers.
First round.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mini
And if
corn
nothing
dogs
else-
for the analyst.
If nothing else, he can at least go into a home when that family has perhaps left for a vacation, leaving only one person behind,
True.
and
Hopefully a younger kid.
raid the refrigerator.
Absolutely. So that would be perfect. And then I had one more. It's not really a question. It's just kind of a quick little bit that I came up with. That I came up with it on the fly, and this is going to be a real treat. This one is going to be starring Alan here. He does great at this. And this quick bit is called Southern Drawl List 'em All. And so basically, you just go through and list different things with a Southern drawl. I think our fans will love this. So I'm going to go ahead and go with types of bread.
Well, ciabatta bread is pretty good, but I have always been a sucker for wheat. Oh yeah, but then again, that good old French bread's always nice. Nice big old French roll with a little butter on it. After that, you know what? I just like a good old-fashioned biscuit. Nothing like a good old-fashioned biscuit in the morning. Just a little bit of jam. Just a little bit of jam.
All right, folks, that was Southern Drawl List 'em All, and I really enjoyed that one. I think that might be a reoccurring bit here, folks. So, thank you very much. We're going to have to kick it to our first commercial. That's what keeps this show going. So, I think our first commercial, it's going to be something special for us. It's going to be the depressed O'Reilly's guy. He had just found out his wife has been cheating on him and for many years with the guy from Napa Auto Parts. All right.
Oh, O'Reilly.
O'Reilly's Auto Parts. Ow. And we're back, folks. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you, O'Reilly's. It's been fantastic. Great sponsor. And again, Conversation of the Nation's great. This one probably stands alone,
Conversation for
Quick
the
random thought.
Nation.
We'll go around. We will start with a man who didn't have any answers for Conversation for the Nation.
Someone's got to be the host, Mark, and I'll kick off random thought. Do you know what 164 days represents?
No.
The Seahawks winning the Super Bowl.
Don't you ever talk about me!
Right?
12 as F. This kid is big time 12. That one there. Mine. It's kind of. I couldn't decide on one, so I'm gonna say 2. This is just more of an FYI, fun fact for the kids. The referees that do the Super Bowl actually get rings themselves, not from the team that wins. It's just like it says, "I ref the Super Bowl" or something.
Do they?
Engraved to have the score.
They do?
Yeah.
You're saying? Oh,
Absolutely.
interesting.
And it says like on the side, it says what position they work. So like head linesman or umpire or something.
There's no way there's only been one referee that's bet on the sports.
I don't know. I'm sure it happens all the time.
Right.
No way.
And then kind of another thing, and this was just, it kind of bugs me every sporting event I go to. I don't know at what point in time in history that it happened, but at what point in history did they decide, you know what, we're going to go from like $1 a beer to like $9.50.
If they charge 15 at Safeco, you'd still buy them.
I know, that's the thing. I mean,
Or do they stop?
we're suckers because someone figured out that we're here and there's nowhere else for us to get this, so we're going to charge 800% more than it actually is and just make money.
I don't know. There's a breaking point, and it's somewhere.
Mr.
I'm gonna keep on the same theme, Mark. Technically speaking, the song should say, "From where did you come, Cotton Eye Joe?"
If it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you
like
come
that.
from, Cotton Eye Joe?
I do
If it
like
hadn't
that.
been for Cotton Eye
And
Joe,
I
I'd been
think
married a long
seamlessly
time
we will
ago.
transition into our 5-step drop here. Quick 5-step drop. I have no idea if anyone has even given any thought to this. Our 5-step drop, you folks feel free to go in on Twitter, tell us the movies that you guys like. We are going to go through 5 of the movies that we could watch over and over again. These are like, if they come on TNT or some other crap channel, you could sit there and watch them. So, Max, go ahead and start us up.
Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Boom.
Great.
With a bullet. All right. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm not gonna go with a comedy, which are typically the ones that you sit through in the middle of a Saturday afternoon when you weren't planning on it. But instead, I'm gonna go with The Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. And you
Really?
know what? It is on all the time.
Yeah,
So
it is
I've
on all the
probably
time.
seen it.
Actually, there's a interesting reason why it is on all the time. The producers of Shawshank Redemption, I believe some of which are Spielberg, and Ted Turner joined in a deal a while back, or a bunch of years back, where it would be shown on TNT more often than anybody ever really wants to see it.
So, unfortunately, I do.
Shawshank Redemption, Morgan Freeman.
Yep.
Yes.
Don't we have a commercial by him? I think we do.
We might get to it later on. We have to keep pressing forward. We can't just toss our commercials in. That's not how radio works, or a good podcast either.
Maybe between segments we'll play.
Possibly between segments, we can get to that. So I was going to go with Shawshank Redemption as my first one. Haven't really put much thought into this, but I'll say Rudy. Diehard Notre Dame fan. I can watch that all the time.
Couldn't be a better guy, that Rudy. He's just
Great.
you
guy.
want your daughter to date that guy.
Absolutely. And you know what, folks? Pray that I don't have any dogs.
Number 2 on my movie list is The Goonies, also starring Rudy.
Goonies.
The Goonies.
Speaking of Rudy, little Rudy, The Goonies.
Fun fact: if you ever visit the great city of Astoria, Oregon, you can visit not only the Goonies house, but also the jailhouse where many of the Goonies scenes were shot. And by great city of Astoria, I mean pretty boring city of Astoria on a nice river.
SUV. Bullet holes.
All right, next movie that you can watch over and over and over again. Gotta go with it. Happy Gilmore.
Oh!
Gilmore. It
I'm
was gonna
sorry,
be
I
said.
took it a little early.
It was going to be said eventually.
The number 1 Adam Sandler movie of all time.
You can always watch it.
Yeah.
You truly do forget how hilarious it is. Fantastic movie. I think I'm going to move it back to maybe a more serious direction for me. I don't know. It is serious, but it isn't. I can watch Forrest Gump over and over. I love me some Forrest Gump.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
That's one of my good friend's favorite movies. Just like you, he'll watch it a million times in his life.
So,
It's always been a little long for me. Although the great thing about that movie is there's so many movies in one. There's so many great storylines. So
So he played for Alabama.
Mhm.
He played for Alabama, right?
Roll Tide.
If he is on the team in 2014, do they beat Auburn?
Absolutely.
There's no field goal return.
Because he would have returned it twice for a touchdown. They wouldn't have to worry about it.
They would have been kicking the field goal.
No, the game would have been over at halftime. He was an All-American.
Speaking of fencing, sports, fighting, giants, Princess Bride is number 3 for me.
Oh, really? What a classic movie.
I just saw that for the first time about
What'd
2
you think?
months ago. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I
it
really
gets
did.
better the more you watch it.
I'd never seen it, so
You know,
maybe.
each time it gets better. All right.
All right, these kids are gonna watch this movie more than once. All right, they're gonna like it. Second, third time, gonna like it a lot more. Okay,
How about the fourth time?
these kids are gonna really enjoy this movie. When it gets to the fourth or fifth time, that's when it really starts to be fun for everyone. All right.
All right. So, I've gone with a drama, a comedy. How would I move it back to a drama? Well, a dramedy, if you will. Number 3 with a bullet, Good Will Hunting.
Ooh.
How do you like them
I
apples?
like that.
I like
that.
them apples.
I will watch that movie over and over and over again.
It took me a while to watch that because I really thought it was like he's going out the woods shooting Bambi, like hunting.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And you're anti-guns.
Not true.
Okay.
You're just anti-fun.
Mark,
That's
what's
for
third
a
movie?
different. That's for a different story.
That is for a different story. What movie was I gonna say next? I can't not remember the movie I was gonna say next, so I'm gonna go with Braveheart. I had a great one.
Oh my God!
I love Braveheart though.
You are my friend Pootie. Your movie list is Pootie, 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 Pootie.
Well, me and Pootie might get along great.
I think you and Pootie would be all right.
What do we got? With number 4? Fourth best movie?
Yes.
Well, with Halloween being on a Friday, I'm going to have to go with Hocus Pocus.
No.
Oh, shut up.
Hocus Pocus.
No.
Great witch movie. One of the best.
Just great. So great. I don't believe that's a real answer from you, but
Well,
Nice.
Happy Gilmore and Shawshank were taken, so...
Nice Halloween tie, though, by the way.
How exciting is it? It's on a Friday. The 4th of July is on a Friday.
Boom.
Halloween's on a Friday.
Boom.
All big holidays. Alan's 30th birthday is on a Friday.
Boom.
hey.
Thanksgiving's on a Thursday.
Thanksgiving's on Christmas is on a Thursday.
Yes.
The day afterward is Friday.
Yes. There's a Friday coming up.
Hey yo.
Wow, what a week. What a year.
All right. I'm going to go with this one, and I can't believe I let this one fall this far, but The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Nice.
Oh, what a classic movie to just put on any time of the day, whenever, always.
Yes, I agree. Whenever, wherever Shakira hits single, you'll love it when you listen to it. And you know what? I think I'm going to go... I like Lord of the Rings movies. I like to stick with the first one, though.
Really?
I was going to say The Two Towers because I really like that one. Return of the King there's like 14 endings. And I was going to say the two Towers originally, and then I remember how much I hate the tree part.
The Ents.
The Ents suck. No one likes the Ents. So
And the
I'm gonna go
trees,
with
you
it.
mentioned the trees?
Yeah.
Because the trees are terrible.
They're the worst part of that whole entire series.
For the record, I haven't stayed awake throughout the full length of any Lord of the Rings movie ever. I find them incredibly boring, they're terrible, and I'm not afraid to say it.
You know, I will say I tried to watch The Hobbit, and probably made it about 45 minutes.
Oh, why'd you even watch it?
Yeah.
That's just a movie where they're just going all for the money.
Yeah, especially breaking it up into 3 parts.
That's what they're doing for Katniss.
Yeah, for the Hunger Games.
Come
My friend's dad is a English teacher, and he's taught The Hobbit for the last 20 years in his high school English class. And he went to the movie The Hobbit with my buddy and his son, and he's getting antsier and antsier as the movie's going on, and he's just like, how long is this movie? He's checking his watch. He finally leans over to his son. How long is this movie? They've got like 3/4 of the book to put together, and it's already been 2.5 hours. My buddy finally leans over to his dad and says, Dad, this is part 1 of 3.
Oh,
And he didn't even know it the whole
brutal.
time.
Thought he was in there for a 6-hour movie.
Yeah.
Do you have one more for the folks?
Sure. Swimmy, Swami, Samsonite. I was way off. Dumb and Dumber is my 5th movie, but might even be my top.
Yeah.
Might be my favorite. Coming out with a Dumb and Dumber 2. A little bit nervous to watch it. Can't beat the first one.
And it's been so long. Dumb and Dumber, I've probably seen that more than any movie I've ever seen in my entire life. I'll go watch, but man, I am a little nervous.
Let me suggest something while we're at it. the Dumb and Dumber 2 review is up on Popcorn Movie Review, one of the Better Luck Next Year sponsors. Feel free to visit the Popcorn Movie Review website directly off of the Better Luck Next Year page. Now, over on the right-hand sidebar, you can get some of the Better Luck Next Year's favorite friends online, some of our other favorite podcasts, some of our favorite websites. PopcornMovieReview.com is on there with all your latest reviews. My final one for the top take five, is going to be Inception. And the reason why I say Inception is because I still haven't figured it out yet.
No.
So,
How many times have you seen it?
I've probably seen it 10 times, I think, is a safe bet. I actually saw it twice in the movie theater because it just messed with me so much. I needed to try to go back and finish it up.
I mean, is he dreaming it again? Do we know?
Does the top topple?
I don't know. I need to know. So we will never know. And one that I like, and you forget really how great it is, I think, similar to one Alan mentioned earlier, I really think Old School's hilarious. If you haven't seen it in a while, sit down and watch it. It's a really, really funny movie. So, folks, and I know our Twitter's blowing up. We've had some great stuff coming in. I think, what do we have? Robin Hood Men in Tights was one of the ones that our fans
Great movie.
put in there.
Robin Hood Prince of Thieves
Robin
also
Hood,
showed
Prince of
up. I'm not
Thieves,
sure if it was
yeah.
the same person or not.
I'm sure they just really into Robin Hood.
My freshman year in college, we did not watch TV. All we did was just press play on Old School again and just watch it from where the last person had finished it.
Such a great show. And so we do have one more spot from our sponsors, and apparently it's a Morgan Freeman spot that I hadn't heard yet, so I'm really excited to hear it. So thanks again to our sponsors, and here comes Morgan.
On the next 30 for 30, what if I told you in the biggest game of the year, the U.S. versus Portugal, the United States decided to raise their scarves just a little higher for the full 94th minute, but decided to not play the 95th minute and let their whole country down against Portugal, yet won the award for best moment of the year. The next 30 for 30.
Thank you again. That was great stuff by Morgan Freeman. That's right, folks. We do love to celebrate mediocrity here in this country.
Morgan's just doing anything these days.
Morgan, he needs money. He's old. He's got kids that are sucking him dry.
They're also out of Batmans.
Yeah, they are.
That's true.
They are out of Batmans. So now as we get closer and closer to the stuff that people actually care about, the NFL is right around the corner, folks. We got people starting training camp as early as next week. Can you believe it? Hopefully that'll take away some of the Seahawks BS that we had to hear this whole offseason. Felt like it's been the longest offseason ever. So this is kind of what we're going to go through. Obviously, you guys know I'm a Falcons fan. It makes no sense. I get it. Alan, Minnesota kid. He's a Vikings fan. Secret 12. Max, been a diehard 12 since this year. So Max, we're going into training camp. It's kind of an interesting battle that is coming up for your squad that you're looking at.
What sort of battle? For quarterback?
Just anything. Position battle. What are you looking at?
I'd say NFL schedule battle. I mean, no Super Bowl team has won a playoff game since 2006. The NFL makes sure that different teams win it, or at least are in the best position to win it, to gain money all over the country, to keep the ratings up over TV. So the Seahawks do have a pretty tough schedule. They got some pretty good games at home, but I think the battle is probably on the defensive side of the ball somewhere.
All right, and we'll let Alan go last. I think his is probably the most obvious one, and kind of the most highlighted one. Mine's going to be a little bit different. The Falcons had no run game. They had no offensive line. Matt Ryan still, with no offensive line, Roddy White and Julio Jones out, still threw for 4,500 yards. Somehow not on the NFL's top 100. That seems fair. I'm
not even top 15 quarterbacks.
I'm glad Phillip Rivers is 34. That makes plenty of sense. Anyway, I think the biggest battle is going to be at running back. Steven Jackson has been in the league for forever. He's had way too many carries. He's beat up. Jacquizz Rodgers is kind of a smaller back, exciting. And then they just drafted a guy named Devontae Freeman out of Florida State, who seems to be a similar guy as Jacquizz Rodgers, smaller, but he actually packs a little bit more of a punch. And the big news out of OTA so far is they think he might become the feature back, and we might end up cutting Steven Jackson. Yeah, Steven Jackson might not make it to the regular
Steven
season.
Jackson left the Rams to go win, and
Yes.
then the Rams had a better year after he left. Is
Yeah.
he a cancer to the team? Are you okay with cutting him, or do you need to keep him to start?
It depends on how he plays. I mean, you can't predict injuries. He had a decent season going for the first 2 games,
Yeah.
and then he got hurt, so you can't really predict that. He runs hard. He's kind of the back they need.
Right.
They just used and abused Michael Turner for all he was worth.
I bet it's been a long offseason for you as a fan. It's had to have been longer for the players because these guys they've been winners in college. They've always won in the NFL, and they had the down year with injuries. They're ready to get back out on the field, wouldn't you say?
I hope so, and I think it'll make for interesting television. If Hard Knocks, I don't have HBO yet. I'll be buying it here probably next week. They should be a fun team to watch. They have some personalities. Probably going to be a lot of people who don't like Roddy White. He's a little outspoken. I think Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, people like him. He's kind of boring. Matt Ryan's super Casper Milquetoasty.
How do they replace Tony G?
They don't, which sucks.
Yeah.
They're just hoping the wide receivers stay healthy, and you have Harry Douglas, who came
he
on
their
last
3?
year. He'll be their 3. They got a guy named Levon Tuilolo from Stanford, who's not great. He's a blocker. They're really not going to have a tight end threat.
They're going to be able to score, though. Are they going to be able to defend the touchdowns?
Not at all. Everyone's just loving Desmond Trufant, saying he's the next great corner. I'm not buying it. I think anyone from this state isn't really buying it. They watched him play at UW. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Nick Holt said he's a great defensive back.
They don't have really a secondary to speak of. Their defensive line got bigger. They still can't get to the quarterback. Anyway, I'll talk too much about a team that no one cares about. We'll go over to the Vikings, a little more local.
I did have one question. Is Julio Jones going to come back from the injury ready to go? Or
He's
is he going to
100%.
have any...
He's 100%. He's been involved in the last couple OTAs, and he will be a full go at training camp.
Okay, well, unlike you two, my team has a quarterback battle going into training camp. Matt Castle is going to be the day one starter. However, already in mini camps, OTAs, Teddy Bridgewater has gotten a little bit more than his fair share of first team reps. A little bit more than if he were just going in to work with him every now and then in case Matt Castle were to be injured. They definitely want to see what he's got. Clearly, over the course of the past couple of years, rookies come into this league and start. And if you're not going to be a starter, it's certainly first round draft picks, quarterbacks as well. So if he's not gonna get the start, he's going to be almost abnormal compared to the rookie quarterback these days.
It's just not it's not the way of the world. So here's a question for you. Used a first round pick on Christian Ponder out of Florida State a couple years ago. Obviously been average at best.
Below average.
So I said at best.
He's got a few rushing touchdowns.
That was the key part of that statement. So if you're looking at that, you blew basically a first round pick on this guy. Is this a guy that you're going to cut, or is this going to be your third string quarterback? Do you keep 3 quarterbacks? What are you thinking going into this?
Christian Ponder is that quarterback where by week 2 of the preseason, they'll be playing him 3 quarters of the game, and all they'll be talking about is what he can do to put something on tape. Even though he's got 3 years on tape, but one more year, now he's going to be gone by the 53-man cut. We'll bring in We'll bring in a 4th guy for training camp. Some high, strong-armed guy, some athlete, super quarterback who's very underdeveloped.
What about this though? So if the Seahawks make cuts early, they cut either Tavares Jackson or Terrell Pryor. Would either of those guys start for the Vikings?
I don't think either of them starts. This is just me as a
Terrell Pryor wouldn't start for the Vikings.
No, Terrell Pryor would not start for the Vikings.
I don't think Terrell Pryor. Clearly, I don't think he would start for really any team. If he's not going to start for the Raiders, he's not going to start for any team.
The only reason why one of those guys wouldn't start for the Vikings is because the team. The only thing that would make NFL fans in any given city not go to their games, not watch their games, is the Vikings retreaded Tarvarius Jackson or someone even like some young guy who's not the guy that we put all of our eggs in his basket.
Yeah.
So it's Matt Castle as a stopgap, or it's Bridgewater moving forward. However, I don't think the Seahawks are gonna cut T-Jack. Do you?
I don't know.
It's tough to carry 3 guys on a roster.
Who's their backup?
Why don't they cut Pryor?
Pryor's more athletic. He's younger. Jackson's been around.
T-Jack's that leader though. In the
Pryor's a guy who, as a quarterback, ran for a 90-plus yard touchdown. You can use a guy like that on your team.
There's only one person in this room that's ran for a 90-plus touchdown. That hasn't, and that's Alan Just.
Hey, I have though, by the way.
No co-ed flag football with your wife.
Okay, because she let me go anyways. The other interesting thing to look at this year for the Vikings is going to be the development of Cordell Patterson. Greg Jennings, who was technically our number 1 last year, has already theoretically or ceremoniously passed the torch to the young kid who's going to be a superstar in this league as soon as he gets a quarterback that can chuck it deep to him.
Everyone's saying he's kind of the guy to watch in fantasy this year. So that'll be interesting. I'm interested to see what do you think they can do in that division this year? Are they going to be bottom feeders again, or are they going to be middle of the pack? I mean, when you have the best running back in the league,
Who's a terrible softball player.
Terrible softball player.
We'll put that up in better luck next year.
But man, can he play football. When you have that kind of talent, I have no idea what your defense is going to look like. Jared Allen's gone. But when you have the talent that you have at that one position, you're so premier. Is that going to be enough with an okay quarterback, maybe an okay rookie quarterback to get you even? Or that division's tough. That's not an easy. If Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, that's not an
you
easy.
got the
division.
Lions too.
Yeah, the Lions aren't going to be.
We go as far as Teddy takes
Bears?
us. Our quarterback play is the only thing that holds us back. Well, our quarterback play, and we'll see how our defensive backfield goes. But we played a tough division. The NFC North is incredibly difficult. Maybe the only other harder division is the NFC West. With the Niners, the Hawks, the Rams, very good team right now. So I think we played a tough division. We got to get through the Packers, the Lions, and even the Bears are probably better than us going into the season.
I wish Brent Musburger called one of your games just to hear him say, "You are looking live at Young Cardell."
That'd be good.
So as we're talking about those teams, it kind of makes you think, are the Vikings going to be the surprise team this year? Is it going to be maybe the Lions? That's kind of a sexy pick for people. You guys just looking at it right now, just as fans, we're obviously, training camp's about to start. Before, this is just prognostication. We can look back, at episode 14 and look back at this and say, this is the team I called. What's a surprise team going in for you? I'll tell you mine first. It might sound a little bizarre. I say there's 2 that I'm looking at, both in the AFC, and one I mentioned earlier, Terrell Pryor came from there. I think the Raiders might be tough this year.
Okay.
They did a lot.
Did you see their quote?
Around.
We're going to run it down their throats until they can't take it anymore.
They have Maurice Jones-Drew, Darren McFadden.
Sounds like a porn movie theme.
I watched that the other night. They have a new quarterback in Matt Schwab. They actually have
No more Matt Flynn?
No. Matt Flynn's getting paid to do nothing.
Packers again?
So I think you got to watch out for them. And then the other team, I think, is the Jets. When they figure out who their quarterback's going to be, they actually have a decent defense. There's a lot of pieces around that you can watch out.
You say no? I say the Patriots run's nearing its end. Brady's getting old. Belichick's 33 pages deep with Aaron Hernandez. Once Brady's gone, who's on that team?
Yeah.
I just think that you're digging really deep with the Raiders and the Jets.
They're surprise teams.
I feel like my teams are not going to be even close to towing the line as yours are. If I'm going to go with 2, I'm going to go with better luck next year's favorite, or at least a favorite of ours, Travis Long's Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
And they are, with Chip Kelly at the helm, of course.
They rated him the 18th best coach in the NFL. Can you believe that?
Well, he's unproven still to a certain degree.
He's only had 1 year. I mean,
You think he should be higher?
No, I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. I think that the Eagles, I think they're 25-1 is what I saw today on
didn't
the
they make the
Vegas
playoffs
line.
last year?
They
Right?
did. They lost to the Saints.
So I'm going surprise. Like they sucked last year, they might be good this year.
Okay, well then, in that case, if I like the Eagles, but maybe that's not daring enough. How about the Pittsburgh Steelers bouncing
gross.
back?
It is gross, but I can see it actually.
Gross.
If they stay healthy, if Big Ben stays healthy, if that Le'Veon Bell guy, he's such a classic.
He's good.
Such a classic Steelers running back. If he stays healthy, I think.
Yeah,
they
health
might
is
have
the issue with them. They got a great coach. They're historic franchise. They know what to do when it counts. I don't like the Steelers. I actually will I've probably fallen asleep to more Steelers games than I have any other.
Steelers Ravens.
Yeah.
Steelers Ravens.
People say that the Bengals, this is their year though. At least Andy Dalton says that.
Andy Dalton's been saying, but to his credit, he's made it to the playoffs.
So is that yours, Max?
No. I'll go Lions. They got all the firepower. They always choke somehow.
Yep.
I mean, they got all the athletes, all the points. Their defense really isn't that terrible. They just can't put it all together. Now,
They don't have a secondary. That's their
isn't
issue.
Schwartz gone?
I don't know about that.
I can't.
If he's
can't
gone,
speak to that.
if he's gone, they make it on. And then for my AFC team, this might surprise you guys, but I'm gonna go the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
And the reason I say this is
EJ Manuel. He's a big EJ Manuel.
John Bon Jovi?
close and not close, Mark. Who would you rather have on your roster to lead you to the playoffs than Jeff Toole?
Oh, Washington State, a proud alum. I think he definitely has at least one Apple Cup in that resume.
Yeah. Guy's a winner.
Guy's a proven winner.
And he started an NFL game.
It's true.
Props to him.
More than I can say. Anyway, folks, we're going to wrap it up tonight. Thanks for listening. This is probably the best show we've ever done. We'll only get better from here. So thanks again for tuning in to Better Luck
Next year.
All right. Thank you.